Yes, and remember that you're not alone. You have friends. Hey friend! Welcome to Random Chittering.
She's Trisha.
And she's Jen.
Let us chitter.
Randomly.
Okay, so today we are talking about a serious subject. And that is the subject of pregnancy loss.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a picture today of my sister-in-law who is having her first baby. And she has a cute belly because she's 7 months pregnant. And she and I actually had the same due date. We both found out we were pregnant last November. And we both had an August the 10th due date. But unfortunately, I lost my pregnancy at 10 weeks, so in January. And it's a subject that is near and dear to my heart, pregnancy loss. And this photo that we got was just a little bit of a reminder of the loss. So I asked Trisha, who has also suffered pregnancy loss before, if she wanted to have a random chittering about miscarriage and pregnancy loss.
I've only had 2 pregnancy losses. One of them was before my 3rd child, and one of them was actually a few months before Jen found out she was pregnant. I thought I was pregnant. And then I lost it at about 11 weeks.
Mm-hmm. So how was your first miscarriage? Like, set the scene for that. What place were you in?
I miscarried on July 4th.
Oh, that's hard for holidays.
I only remember that because we went to church and we stand up to sing the Star Spangled Banner, and I had started spotting that morning, and we stood up to sing the Star Spangled Banner, and I just felt the release of everything.
Oh my gosh,
and
how far along were you on the first one?
I was 10 weeks.
Oh, so you've lost both of them.
Yeah, about the same time. Which is normal for pregnancies between 8 and 10 weeks is a normal miscarriage window. And so I started crying.
You just knew.
I did. I knew it was gone, and I just started bawling. And I'm like in the front pew and standing up, and everybody else is standing up, and I'm just like
singing the Well, and you can be really confused singing the Star Spangled Banner because you could be crying
no
out
one
of
had
patriotism.
any idea. We hadn't really talked about the fact that I was pregnant, so everybody was confused
as to
why I was upset. But I'm one of those people that I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like when I'm going through it, just leave me alone. And that one was all like naturally. Everything, my body did what it was supposed to. It took everything out. I went and checked with my doctor, and everything was fine. And then a few months later, I got pregnant with my Jency, my 3rd child. My rainbow baby. I didn't know that was what they were called until recently. So what about you?
Yeah, so I've had 2 as well. But for me, I had my first 3 babies, no issues, no problems, except for with each one I did feel more and more sick. Like I felt through my pregnancies. And so I have to say, I was really grateful. My husband and I started having like babies as soon as we got married. Like I was pregnant 2 months after marriage, and I'm glad I did that because after 30 I haven't had a successful pregnancy. And after my first miscarriage, I will say I joined a support group online.
Did you?
I did, yes. They it's a Facebook group that's private where we share our thoughts and our feelings. So I had that group, and I have mixed feelings about the group because mostly you just hear about loss.
Right.
You know, so then
Yes.
it's like, oh my
it's
gosh.
depressing.
Well, it's depressing, but it's also kind of therapeutic because then you feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this.
That's true.
You know, so like
Yes.
there's this group of people that have gone through the same thing and they feel the same way as you, or they've suffered this loss, and so that's really great. But then there's also the flip side where you're hearing a lot about loss.
Yeah.
So when I got pregnant this second time, just last January, I kind of was like, oh, I don't know if I want to stay.
I don't really want to read stories about
I don't know if I want
loss.
to stay in the support group or not because of what's going on.
Right.
But I had this feeling that it wasn't going to happen. The doctor did an ultrasound in her office, And she was like shocked when she did the ultrasound, and the baby had stopped growing at 9 weeks, and she couldn't find a heartbeat. And so she was shocked because I still had all the symptoms of pregnancy.
Right. That was I was still growing. Like, my body was still behaving like it was pregnant.
Yeah, so you don't think that you've lost it when your body's still doing that. And I was a hot mess. Oh my gosh, I was crying so bad. Right. And I was so embarrassed to be crying all through the hospital. And then I ran into a lady that I know at the hospital, and I was crying. And so then I had to tell her, and then it's like, ugh. Every time you have to tell someone, I think that's the hardest part for me, is just having to relive it every time you have to tell someone that you've lost a pregnancy. I went home from that office visit, and my doctor actually, she didn't want to do the D&C. My doctor wanted my body to do what it did naturally, so she asked me to wait. And I think that was kind of hard for me, the waiting, because you just never know. Like, I couldn't make plans. I didn't know how long I was going to be waiting or when it was going to happen. And we were going to go on vacation, and then it was like, well, I can't go on vacation.
I pushed for the D&C. I said, I just want it gone.
Yeah.
I just want it gone. I don't want to have to deal with this. In fact, when I'd gone home, I talked it all out with my husband, and by the next day, because they'd scheduled the D&C the next day, they kept asking me if I knew where I was and if I was okay, because I was like, I was calm. I was like, okay, let's do this. You know, I had already like set and moved on, which doesn't happen for a lot of people, and I didn't expect it for myself. And I still felt bad, like, going on, but like I had just, okay, we're done. And for me, the D&C was easier because there was nothing there.
Really?
It was like a period. A really heavy, nasty period, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, so how was then having that?
That was hard.
Do you wish you didn't have gone through that?
It was like a mourning period. Like, it was a week of weirdness, though, because you're like, I have this, sounds terrible, but dead baby inside of me, and I'm just waiting for it to pass. And then I couldn't make the decision if I wanted to see it or not, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was weird. And then my doctor did give me medication for the pain. So when I did go into labor, she said there's no reason to suffer for no reason.
Right.
So, yeah, when the labor started, it was emotional, but it was okay. Like, it did feel like a closure. I don't know. I survived it. Oh, but I will tell you, the one good thing about going to my doctor this time is they ran a bunch of tests, and they have discovered that I kind of have, pregnancy kind of causes an autoimmune disorder in my body.
No way!
Yeah, it does. So what's happening is my thyroid stops working when I get pregnant. And
Are you kidding?
No, so with my previous 3 pregnancies, even with, you know, the ones that worked out, they would have to up my dose of thyroid. I have hypothyroidism. I've struggled with it for 17 years, so I have to take synthetic thyroid every day of my life. And so when I get pregnant, it messes up my hormones and my thyroid. So in the past, doctors have been able to just give me some more synthetic thyroid, and I'm okay. But with this last pregnancy, literally, my thyroid stopped functioning. And that's what terminated the pregnancy.
Oh, no, are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. And it actually is probably what terminated my previous pregnancy as well. So as soon, yeah, it's crazy. As soon as I passed the pregnancy, my body within 3 or 4 weeks was back to normal, and my thyroid was working properly, and it's just the pregnancy hormones, and it's too hard. So my husband and I have talked about it, and even though I always wanted 4 babies, I don't personally see a 4th child or a 7th. No, how many pregnancies have I had?
6.
4, 3,
4,
5.
5.
I don't see a 6th pregnancy in my future. I just don't know if I could go through it again, because there's no guarantees, and I know there's no guarantees in life, and blah, blah, blah. You might love it, but I can't do it to myself again. Now, that might change. It's only been 6 months, so maybe I'll try again in January, but as far as I know, I can't do it. I'm actually getting older, and I know my body is just not going to, it doesn't work the same.
No, that's how mine was. My husband said, honey, I don't know if you'll make it physically through another pregnancy.
Yeah. So I went back to my pregnancy loss support group, and I was actually really calm about it. And I told them I was calm, and I was able personally to move on more quickly this time than I was the first time.
Well, and it probably helps a lot to know that
there's a reason.
There's a reason I lost. And sometimes you don't know. Like, I don't know why both of mine didn't pan out. I think I struggled more with what it meant. Like, as far as our family, like, was it complete? Was it not complete? I don't know, So,
well, I have a hard time with my kids when they say, Mommy, when are you going to have another baby?
Mine say that too.
I know, that's really hard.
And we laugh and go, never.
Yeah, I don't know. And
We're feeding a guinea pig.
Yeah, I hear ya. It's hard though. And part of me wants like a rainbow baby that I can be all excited about. But another part of me is so grateful to just realize that I'm done. Like,
it's okay.
It's okay. My family is complete. And for me, my kids, it was hard on my kids. And they still talk about their dead babies. And they talk about, and it brought the concept of death into our family, which we've had to deal with. And anyway, it's not something I would wish on anyone ever.
No, and I think it's okay to have those feelings. I always had conflicting feelings. Where I was relieved not to have another pregnancy, and I felt like, well, did I take some aspirin I didn't know about?
So I'm like, I took cold medicine.
I know, or like I had a migraine and I needed to not throw up everywhere, and so I took some medicine, and oh my gosh, did I do this? Yeah. It's just not worth beating yourself up over.
No,
it really isn't. But
I think everybody has a different experience with it.
Yeah.
I think everybody's experience is different, but I think we all feel the same loss.
Right.
Because you had this thing in your mind. Mm-hmm. You had an expectation that obviously wasn't met. And so that's hard. I don't care what it is in life. That's hard when you expect something and it doesn't happen.
Right.
And especially if you want something so badly that doesn't work out. That's really, really disheartening. Well, I will say that my miscarriages taught me a lot. They taught me to be grateful for the children I do have.
Right.
They taught me that everybody is probably going through something in their life that is difficult, and everybody needs to be loved. Like, I didn't tell a lot of people about my miscarriages. Yeah. And I suffered in silence sometimes, I thought. But then I also did tell people that were really, really close to me, and I learned that people do love me and people do care about me. I had friends bring me cake, I had miracles happen, and I learned that, life goes on and you find fulfillment and joy in a lot of things. Right. And that, there's joy and there's pain, and life is full of happiness and sadness, and we all suffer with loss. And it's important to realize that you're not alone, even though you feel like you are sometimes. But life is good.
It is. And it will go on.
And it goes on. So, anyway, so this was an interesting chat. I learned a lot that I didn't know. We didn't really talk about this before.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
When she said she wanted to talk about pregnancy loss, I was like, okay.
What are we going to talk about? But it's good to talk about it.
It is. For me, I was always like, oh, it's natural, blah, blah, blah. But, it's still a loss. Like you said, it's still a loss.
I did not understand why people were so distraught about it until I had my own.
Oh,
you cannot wrap your mind around it until it happens to you.
Well, and I feel like it's not, as a woman, you're not just going through the loss and the emotional thing. You are going through not being pregnant anymore. Yeah. Like, you're losing all those hormones. Your it has to recover just from that. And so...
Well, and don't forget the medical bills that they send you.
Yes! Oh my gosh,
5 months after.
Still paying
I'm
off
so
my...
sick of that. Thanks a lot. Your baby died. I'm going to send you a medical bill 6 months later just to remind you again and again and again.
Right. Yes. And you'll remember weird things. Like,
Yeah.
I remember laying in bed and going, oh my gosh, today's my due date.
Yeah, well, and that's why this came to my mind is just, I am so happy for my sweet sister-in-law who's having her very first baby. But it is a big, fat reminder.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, and that sweet baby of hers is always going to be a reminder of the baby that I never had. Yes, but I'm not going to dwell on it, obviously, but it is, I mean, those reminders are everywhere. So, it's hard.
It is.
Anyway,
But
so be grateful for what you have, I guess.
yes, and remember that you're not alone. You have friends.
Thanks for watching.